Hello, I'm Sudarshana Starshine Star. Welcome. Thank you for being here with me. This is going to be an unusual clip I'm putting out. I know that for a fact. Today is Sunday. It is June 23rd. It's still 2024. And I like to start off my clips with some very short opening prayers. They're in Sanskrit and Telugu. It's the Guru Mantra, the Ganesha Mantra, and the Gayatri Mantra. I do this to bless, protect, inspire, uplift you, me, and this clip. All right. Om, Om, Om. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshvaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmahi Sri Guruvena Namaha. Om Suklam Bharataram Vishnum Shishivarnam Chatubhujam Prasanavaranam Dhyaye Sarva Vigno Prashantaye. Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, my voice is a little hoarse today. I'm actually recording this just kind of reclining, propped up on some pillows. I told myself, go to your desk and do this properly, but I'm just going to do it from here. But excuse me if my voice is a little hoarse. Yesterday was the third day or the last day of the full moon. And every one of the 3 days of whether it's the new moon or the full moon, our chakras open up, all of us, whether people are aware of that or not. So it's actually a very positive high positive healing time when your chakras are open like that. A lot of what you could call dust that's in your chakras, a lot of stuff that's you're hanging on to in there, not just from this lifetime, can come out. So it's an opportunity, a great opportunity for healing, a huge opportunity for healing. But because often we're not ready for that huge type of healing, that when the high positive hits us, it's like kind of bounces on our negativity, and the negativity comes flowing out, which is why you can see on these full moon and new moon times, like people in the streets going crazy, or you feel very easily agitated or upset or on the edge and stuff like that. It's not because it's negative, it's because it's a time of high positivity and healing. But healing is not always a pleasant experience. To truly heal, you have to not only become aware of what needs to be healed, but you have to feel it. There's an emotional component to everything. And that's what most of us all the time, most humans, that's the thing that we're avoiding so often. We don't want to feel what's stuffed down in there and buried down in there that, whether from this lifetime or another lifetime, the experiences that we've had, the traumas that we've had, the painful realizations that we've had, our own blunders, our own errors and mistakes, and how we are upset with ourselves about that, how upset we are with other people, with life, with God, with whatever it is. We spend a great deal of energy and time repressing all of that. We don't want to feel that. So this is going to be an unusual type of clip that I've ever put out. And I was telling myself, because I'm writing 2 books right now on 2 different topics, although in one way they're related. I told myself, no, don't put this on your socials. Go and get up and write it and put it in one of your books. And it will be, but I just feel to put this out right now. Let's see, where can I start here? Okay, so yesterday, like I said, the third day of the last day of the full moon. I had a fantastic, most amazing, wonderful day until later in the early evening, and I can't explain what it was except I went around some different crowds of people, and all of a sudden I was just aware of a lot of really chaotic energies, a lot of swirling kind of dark energies, different things, and it affected me. Even though I was doing I know how to decharge negativity. I didn't do that soon enough, and I was just aware that I was being affected by some observation and some feeling of negativity and things swirling around. So why I'm saying that is that what it led to was then when I was back in my home, I was still aware that something was pushing on me. Like I was feeling something. It was like, when you have something like an issue coming up, or, that feeling of like, there's something going on with you, but you're not fully bringing it out into the light, or you're not just addressing it and telling yourself, hey, I can feel I've got this going on. So what I did was I chose to eat some comfort food for dinner, something I know that is not healthy to do. I ate some tortilla chips, and the oils that they're prepared with, those oils are not good for us. And I don't feel good today after eating that. So why I'm saying that is, excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of my beverage. Why I'm saying that is that I did that as a mechanism instead of really going deeply into this, discomfort or this negativity that I'd experienced outside of myself, and then I was experiencing something resonating within myself. And instead of fully going into that and just sitting with it, like maybe it would go away quickly, maybe it wouldn't. There's no guarantee. Maybe you just go sit in meditation and let it be as it is. But instead, like I said, when I said, okay, I'm going to eat some of these tortilla chips for my dinner, then I didn't feel well physically because of those oils. Like I don't feel well, and I don't feel well today. When like physically, I need to like hydrate myself a lot, and I just don't feel that great. So also tomorrow is going to be the anniversary of my mother's passing. She was not old enough to pass. I mean, she wasn't young, but it was a big shock and a surprise when my mother passed. And that was kind of a moment when that happened, that it cracked open my biological family in such a way that it was kind of a preparation for the separation of families and friends and things that a lot of us have experienced, because of the pandemic and because of the political environment in the world right now. So what I want to say was that I've seen so many things. I've seen so many things in my life because I was born a seer. I have that ability to see. I am clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, all those words. However, that said, I was gaslit in my biological family very strongly, and I just always had the tendency to not talk about what I was seeing. Like I could say, like part of the reason why I was saying, when I was thinking of this when I chose to eat some tortilla chips for my dinner last night, was that I have a lot of secrets. I've been keeping a lot of secrets. I have a lot of secrets. I was always told, don't talk about this outside of the family and my biological family. And then with the, if you go on my YouTube channel, which is, it's The Dazzling of the Light, or you can just type in at Sudarshana Starshine Star to access all the clips there. Scroll down a little bit and you'll see a zebra picture, and it says on there, personal reveal of the most famous shaman in the world, or something like that is the title. But look for the zebra and you'll see it. It's when I spoke a little bit about my stepfather, who is, the most famous shaman on the earth. And I say shaman in quotation marks. With my experience with my then step family for decades, what I was experiencing, I had to keep secret, and I didn't really even understand it fully until, I would say, I mean, really in its totality, until February 2nd, 2019, when I was just, around 2 in the afternoon, standing in my kitchen, doing nothing, just an average, day, moving around in my kitchen. And I was hit on the head by what I could call an etheric lightning bolt. It wasn't actual, even though I was standing by my kitchen window. I'm not saying lightning bolt came through my window and hit me. It wasn't physical, it was etheric, it was divine. It hit me on my crown chakra, and it really brought me to my knees on my kitchen floor. And in one moment, I received a huge download, just like broop. I got huge information about that helped me connect this huge missing piece that I was not understanding about my experience with my stepfather and my stepfamily, and what I had been experiencing for so long, as well as what a really big key into what had been ruling and controlling the earth realm for thousands of years. And I will say, an aside, even though I have mentioned it before, after I got up off my knees off that floor and called one of my sisters and spent many hours that day, and for about 3 weeks after that, this one particular sister and I spoke for several hours each day. We were each providing pieces of the puzzle to each other and sharing things. Even though we thought we had told each other everything, there were things that we hadn't shared, different aspects, different points of views, different experiences, and we were putting things together about my finally locking in realizations about the truth about my stepfather and my stepfamily, and also linking it into what had really been running the world. Because that day, after I got off the phone with one of my sisters, I then began 10 hours that day, and it would continue for years and even more. I would spend deeply researching the who, what, when, where, why of what has been running this world. So, and I apologize for, I know this isn't a fluid video. I'm just like bouncing from one subject to another, but I'll get there. So what I'm saying, like, if you watch my YouTube clip, it was, my stepfather is Luciferian, and my stepfamily, I have 3 stepbrothers, and 2 are pretty much as famous as my stepfather is, and they're all many, 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 many international best-selling books, very well known in the world. And a 3rd stepbrother who, the reason why he's actually not in their bloodline. It's amazing to me that people that were even so close to us for decades in our family, and we spent, all of our time together, wouldn't understand why in a Mexican family, a very dark, short people, that my 3rd stepbrother was very, very tall and much fairer and had very cherry red hair. It was like, of course he's not my stepfather's biological son, but he was raised, and he always thought that my stepfather was his biological father, and my stepfather officially adopted him when he was an older child. And so it's not talked about because, like, why does it need to be talked about? But why I'm mentioning it, it is important to note when you say why my first 2 stepbrothers are of the bloodline lineage and are considered in that line and are always lecturing and traveling and doing power journeys and writing books and doing all kinds of things, hanging out with celebrities and all of that. And the 3rd stepbrother is leading like a quiet, more of an anonymous life. It's because he's not in the bloodline. So I just wanted to mention that. Anyway, as I said, tomorrow is the anniversary of my mother's passing. So maybe that I'm thinking of all of this, because a big reason why I really do and am finally now going to be talking more about the truth about my stepfather and my stepfamily, and really what they call Toltec or Nahualism is actually a cover for, the shadow world, a cover for uh, Luciferian bloodline that works actively against the real light. It's false light. It's a false light wanting to worship that which is false and eschewing the reality of the divinity, the real divinity. So it's pretty strong stuff. But a big reason why I want to do this, because I can't help but still have love for my stepbrothers and for my nieces and nephews. I do love them. I haven't had anything to do with any of them since that day, February 2nd, 2019. And it's because of a lot of it is because of my mother. It was like what my stepfather did to my mother and put my mother through, my mother's heartbreak. A part of me is like wanting to stand up for her because of that. And she was not weak. She's very powerful. She was very well known in her own. My mother's first name was Gaia, Gaya. She's pretty well known and was a very powerful woman and was considered spiritual, kind of a teacher for many. But what made me start to want to do this clip, because I'm going to entitle it An Encounter with a Vampire. And I want to talk about something now. I'm hesitant, like I said, I'm used to so much of my life just not sharing things about my family or my stepfamily. But I have to say, biologically, I'm a native of New Orleans. My family, my biological family, has been in Louisiana since the 1650s. I'm a daughter of the American Revolution and all of that. And even though after the age of, when I was almost 8 years old, my family moved to California. I was raised in California. So I spent every summer of my life in New Orleans, and very much loved it and loved the history of it, and loved seeing things like going to the Cabildo Museum there, and the first grapes grown in New Orleans were by my great grandfather Lorenzo Federico, and I just have tons of family history in New Orleans and also in the countryside outside of New Orleans where my father's people were. And I was just like always enthralled with it. And even though I was aware of some darkness, I always loved New Orleans, and I just loved all my family and all my relatives and everything there. And when I even went to school there, and this is what leading up to my encounter with the vampire, and why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because there's so many things in this world. I mean, there's so much information coming out now, and there's so many things. Like, I work really hard to help to quote unquote red pill people about the 360 of life, not just just political, not just personal, in all those areas, but also spiritually, because to me, it's all part of a piece. It's the 360 of it all. And we deserve to know what we really are. We deserve to live what we really are. And that's divine children of God. And we deserve to have that knowledge and that experience. And it's only, a huge gift and grace of God that I encountered again, because I'd been with my Swami, Sri Kaleshwar, in other lifetimes. But when I encountered him again in 1997 and became his student, even though he has taken his Mahasamadhi, he left his body in 2012 at the age of 39, but he's still very much around. But it's by his grace that all the processes that I received from him, and all the years and years and years I've had of doing divine processes and doing mantra and yantra processes that help to purify me and develop my gifts and my seeing and my soul and so many things. It's really all thanks to my Swami and to my Sadguru Shirdi Sai Baba, and to Yeshua and all my Guru Parampara, and to Mother Divine too, and my angels. So I always have to say, it's because of them. I can't take the credit for it. I've just receive the blessing of it. But as a human, we have to go through the actions, right? I mean, you have to do the hard work and you have to do the actions to really receive what the divine wants to give you, because we are in human bodies. That said, there's so much all around us. There's so much. Life is just much more supernatural than most of us are even acknowledging, because our two eyes, what we see with our two eyes, is really so limited. And now I'm going to describe something. Maybe some of you know this and have experienced this, and maybe you haven't. But in my life, what I see out of my two eyes, I'm also aware of, I just call them split screens. Now we have things called flat screen, flat screen TVs. You can kind of visualize it like that. Whenever I'm looking at something or involved in something in my human life, I'm looking out of my two eyes. I'm also using my third eye, my seeing, but I have like what I call split screen consciousness, where I'm aware, like to my left, there's like kind of it can seem like a screen, even though it's recording. It's like a witness to everything in my life. And I can go back to that. It's helped me to remember certain things or details of things. It was always witnessing and recording everything. And even had a different consciousness than my human consciousness. But very often I wasn't paying attention to it. I was aware and it was giving me insight into things, but I was choosing to stick to the consciousness that was being outlined by what my two human eyes were seeing, right? Maybe some of you understand that. If you don't, that's okay. I just tried to explain it as best I can. So many things that I've seen in my life, I've had a direct line running to me of, you could say, divine wisdom or insight or seeing about what was really running underneath the surface of something going on. But that doesn't mean that I would switch to that consciousness. I would kind of let it run, but I was still be acting out of my human, you could say, my human blindness, my human denial system, right? To kind of keep to the track of, no, I'm this person and this is how I want something to be and this is the way it is and this is the way that person is and this is the way that person isn't. The stories that we tell ourselves to identify ourselves and our lives and the people in our lives and the roles that we all play. And a lot of it is, it's not essentially true. So anyway, why I brought up New Orleans was when I was, and I lived there, when I was a girl, as a young adult. I lived in the French Quarter, and I also lived in the Garden District. And like I said, I went to school there. But I'm going to describe this something. I know this has been a very kind of roundabout video, but I feel to do it this way. So I hope that you're getting something from it. It was an evening where I was going to meet some of my friends. And it was around 10 o'clock at night. And I was leaving my apartment in the French Quarter. I was walking to someplace else in another place in the French Quarter. And it might have been a new moon night because it was a dark night. But I was stopping. I was on some places in the French Quarter, the sidewalk or the banquette gets very skinny. It's very narrow, it's old. It's an old part of the city. And it gets very skinny and squishy. And I was walking just as I was passing by one of the old mansions in the French Quarter. They're built in the European style, where when space is at a premium, you build many floors. They're multi-leveled, 4 and 5 story, instead of being really wide and sprawled out. So I knew I was stopping in front of a black wrought iron gate that showed the exterior entrance, or kind of a semi-courtyard before the front door, even though I knew, like in most of these homes, they were built in the old European style. You can even say Spanish or Moorish style, where you don't see the interior courtyard, unless you go through the exterior door. There's an interior courtyard which has fountains, and usually we used to be a carriage way where the horse and carriage would enter and to bring the owners of the home to their front door. But you can't see that from the street. It's blocked from prying eyes, So I was stopped there, and on this dark night, and as I was looking in my purse, I don't know, I can't remember what I was looking for. Was I going to put some lip gloss on? Was I checking to see how much cash I had? It was something like that. So I was sideways at first, just alongside of this tall black wrought iron gate with, it had lots of gaps between the iron rods, and I could see easily into a very lush exterior courtyard portico area before this old mansion. But then I turned my back to it because I was trying to like open my purse and see if I could get some street light or something in there to see what I was looking for. And I remember there was like kind of a funny gap between the street lamps because in the French Quarter there's regular street lamps going, but it was this one space where the street lamp wasn't there, and all of a sudden everything got really dark, like supernaturally dark. I've experienced that several times since then, but it's like if you could say someone turned the lights out, like in the world, it got very, very, very dark. So this part of me that was aware, like I can say a split screen consciousness, I was aware that that wasn't quote unquote normal. And I was observing it like, yeah, this is supernaturally dark. But the human part of me was just fixed on, I'm just a girl going to meet my friends and I'm looking for something in my purse. You know how that is. I was just like going along with that. So I had my back up very close to this black wrought iron gate. Now the older, wiser part of me, or I could say the divine conscious part of me on that split screen consciousness, can see out of the back of my head. So I have a 360 view. So while I'm looking in my purse or like pushing things around trying to find something, this other part of my consciousness is recording everything I'm seeing, and it's seeing in a 360 view all around me. And it can see this look like a male in his early 30s moving forward, coming out of the shadows. Even though my back was to him, I was watching him approach, coming up, and he was not human. And he just kind of moved, and then all of a sudden he was right behind me. Like he didn't walk, he just projected himself. He just moved, even though he was in a body. And I could see, and the whole time I'm still looking in my purse, like I'm not turning around, I'm like looking for something. And I could see he was a very attractive guy, looked like he was about 31, 32. And I could tell in a split second, you know, you're looking at these things, he had very well cut, casual clothes, but they were cut very well, like very well cut trousers. His shirt was long sleeve button down, but it was very well tailored. You know, I noticed this, my consciousness noticed everything, very well cut, expensive clothing, even though they were quote unquote casual. And as he came up behind me, then my human self was acknowledging that this was happening. And I kind of like froze like a possum. Like I didn't turn around. I just kind of froze because I could feel, and this was supernatural, he was right behind me. He was closer than a human could be there, but he was this very close. And his breath was on the back of my neck, but it wasn't like a human breathing on the back of my neck. It was the supernatural kind of I could say kind of like a wind coming out of him. And at that time I was aware time was speeding up at the same time time was slowing down at the same time. So this wasn't like something that took in quote unquote human terms a long time to occur, but the time was fluctuating at that moment. So it was like it was taking a while, but it was also happening instantly, if that makes sense. I could read his thoughts, and I read what he was thinking. He was an undead. He was a vampire. He was a supernatural being of the darkness. And he just had that form that looked so pretty, you know, of an attractive guy and in beautiful clothing, beautiful physique. And as he came up right behind me, I could tell he was surprised. It was like a prey got dropped on his front lawn, you know. And I was reading his thoughts very fast. Just in a second, I could read that he had something he was about to do. And I was like a surprise to him, but he was contemplating for a very quick second if he was going to. To be honest with you guys, listeners, I knew I could have died at that moment. It was something that serious. Like he was going to take me. He was going to do something. And I could tell his thoughts slowed for a minute. He was thinking of the cons of doing that. And I can only say divine protection helped me in that moment because something just stopped him. Like he just decided, no, I better not do this. And I knew it was, you know, divine protection protecting me because it was like the pall of death was coming over me. Like he was going to get me, attack me, take me. And then I felt him just get really angry. I could feel his anger coming through. And I still, even though I was aware now, I was just kind of pretending that I wasn't aware. I was just frozen like, okay, what should I do? He was getting very angry. This kind of real monstrous rage was coming up into him. Like he did not like being denied something that he wanted. Like he wanted to attack me. He wanted do something to me, and he was not being allowed. So just this monstrous rage flared up in him, like he did not like being denied. And he was projecting that out onto me like a kind of a hatred. So I could feel all this energy. So what I started to do was like just slowly move away. Like I was just a very, unaware, just girl. I was like moving away from the fence, just like very casually. I just somehow thought in my human response that if I ran or did something like that, like the predator in him, like he would run after me or bust through or something. So I was making everything very casual, like, and all I wanted to do was get into the middle of the street where there was some light, and then, do that. So as I moved away, I was very aware that I just escaped the clutches of something very dark. And as I turned, I could turn sideways and I could see him more with my right eye, more of the form of him, even though he was still like shadowy. Even though he's very close up, he was like shadowy. And I just didn't let him know that I could see what he really was. I just made it looking at him like he was just coming to his gate in the French Quarter. Anyway, so I got into the middle of the street where the light was, and then I just started walking more rapidly down the middle of the street. I just stayed in the middle of the street. And then when I got past a couple of houses, I started really fast walking, like race walking, till I got to the end of that where there was a lot of light. My heart was beating really fast. And, I knew it was a crazy encounter I'd had. So I'm sharing this with you guys. I don't think that many of you would say, yeah, I had that same experience, even though I know that all of us have had many experiences that we can't explain. But why I'm sharing this to you is that right now is a time of, it's really true. The dark energies are swirling. You can feel it. The chaos is here. There's a lot of cleanup happening. There's a lot of actual good happening and purging and purifying happening on the earth. But right now we're really in the chaos of it, and you don't need me to tell you that. So it's really important to keep your spiritual protection up. The power of prayer is amazing. Whatever faith you follow, unless it's, Satanism, or you don't believe in God at all, I would say, follow your faith. And also, if you didn't know, Jesus is for everyone. And Jesus did not start the Christian religion. Jesus is, and always, as he has said, he is for everyone. So just the name of Jesus Christ has a power to it, has a divine power to it. And because of what he did, the processes that he did for us before, on the cross, and after the cross, his crucifixion, it gives us, he gave us the right to call on his sacred blood and his sacred name to do many things, big and small. The miraculous energy is real. So you can always call on him in a second, just, calling out the name of Jesus Christ to help you, to cover you with his protection, and include that in the prayers that you like to do. Like I say, unless you're, not doing satanic stuff and not doing, atheist practices, which I don't even know what those would be, but things like that. So just know that divine protection is necessary, and it's not hard to get. You do have to ask for it, though. You do have to take a step toward the divine and the God and say, come towards me, like I'm looking to you. I'm wanting to be with you. Come protect me and my family and my beloveds. And we keep our divine protection circles strong by doing things like decharging negativity, being in nature more, meditating, being in the silence more, things like that. I have shared some things like that on my clips, and I will share more concrete tools that so people can take advantage of that. So you can use things to help yourself. But sometimes, like even me, I have all these tools, I have these amazing things, but sometimes even me, I get overwhelmed by feeling just the more than the uncomfortableness, kind of the pain of the darkness, or the just the yuckiness of that dark energy. And I could have made another choice last night. I could have gone just really fully more into what I know to do to help myself. And even if I would still feel not fully aligned in myself, not fully, aligned, it would have been better to do that than just to eat some tortilla chips that made me feel physically not well, and have to deal with that. And it didn't help anything. You know, the mechanisms that we have, whether all the things that we do to distract ourselves, and you know, we all do them. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm perfect and that I don't do that, because that's just silliness. That's a lie. And I feel, especially nowadays, I am a spiritual teacher. I am a soul healer. I know I'm a very good one, but it doesn't serve anything to say, I'll help you with some spiritual tools, and I'm going to share some things with you from the highest spiritual masters out of India, and then to present myself as somehow that I always 100% of the time toe the line and always make the best choices for myself all the time, and living some kind of perfect saint life, because I'm not. I'm having a human experience, and I still make mistakes and do errors and do things that I think, gosh, why did I do that? I wish I didn't do that. But I've learned to forgive myself, to reset. You know, I don't think about it. Once I forgive myself and decharge negativity, I'll just reset and just resolve to do better, and things like that. So gosh, this is the long clip. I hope there was some value for you in it. It's an unusual clip, I know. I'm going to end it with the closing prayer like I always do. I'm going to put this on my TikTok, if it can go on there, which is Mahakali Yeshua 9. The username is at StarshineStar909. Like I said before, my YouTube it's the Dazzling of the Light, or just type in at Sudarshana Starshine Star. I have a lot of clips on there, a lot of good content, and I think you'll enjoy it. So please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff, whichever platform you're watching this on. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate you. Thank you for being here with me, and I'm going to close it out with this prayer in Sanskrit and Telugu, which what I'm saying is, God bless all beings in all worlds. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, peace, peace, peace. Inner peace is the beginning of everything, and it makes that peace reflect back to us everywhere. I'm sending all my love and big hugs to you guys. God bless you and yours. God bless all your beloveds. I will see you when I see you, and bye-bye for now.